I also think that within the trans community itself, passing can be quite a toxic subject and can be used to slander each other, and it can be used as insults, which is just wild to me. Hi guys, and welcome back to the channel. My name is Alexis Blake. I am a trans woman and I share my life stories and opinions on social media. So today's topic, today's conversation, what we're going to be digging into, I don't know why that was supposed to be me digging, I apologise, is the terminology passing toxic. We have a video to watch. I'm going to give my opinions. We're going to go right into this subject because I find it such a fascinating, interesting part of the trans world, the trans ideology, because there's a lot of different opinions on passing within the trans community itself. So I did do a part one. This is like part two to the video because the video was getting quite long. I didn't want to make it super long. So I'll link it up here. Well, Liam will link it up here, please, babe, if you want to go and watch that first. But let's dig into this topic. Is passing toxic? We have a video to watch first.
I don't really know how else to tell you this, but if you saw me dressed like this, walking down the street in my heels, pretend I shaved my beard and I had one of these on my face, you would have no fucking clue, all right? I don't really personally use passing as like my threshold for womanhood. I understand that a lot of trans people want to pass. It's a goal. I respect it deeply. It is not one of mine. It's not how my fluidity functions. I don't live for the validation of other people deciding what they think that my gender passes as. I love my presentation. I don't need your validation from it. I do not receive this. And I would really caution you about policing other people's gender expressions because it's just not your business. If you look at me and you see a man, that's your transphobia that you are projecting onto people like me, and you're just making the world less safe.
Okay. Interesting point of view, different to mine, but interesting point of view. So obviously this trans person, their goal isn't to pass. It's a little bit confusing with the video because the start of the video is saying, well, you would never know I'm a woman, but I don't care about passing. I respect trans people who want to pass, but I don't live for validation of others, and then looks down on passing. It's a little bit mixed messages, just my opinion there. That's all I got from that, because I got the sense that they were like, yes, I pass, but I don't want to, I don't care about it. It's not for me, but I respect people who do. And then looking down on passing is because it's validation from others. I'm just going to go to the point that I mentioned in my last video. My whole transition for me, well, not all of it, sorry, let me rephrase that because it's not all of it. A big part of my transition was to be able to navigate the world undetected as a trans person. That's what I've always wanted. It's always been one of my personal goals because life is just easier. I think I would then be seen as who I feel like I am on the inside, who I've always felt like I've been. But people saw a man because that's what I presented as and that's what I was born as. But now things are definitely better, and for the most part, I slide around like a snake in society. Oh no, that's a terrible analogy. I can go to the supermarkets when I've got my full makeup on and hair and clothes, and no one generally blinks an eye, which is lovely. I'm very lucky. So Jamie and me have different opinions on passing, and I think it was a bit of a confusing video, but each to their own. You do you, hon. It's your transition. Who am I to sit here and tell anyone how to transition? I do feel like, and we're going to dig into it, I feel like within the trans community, passing itself is used in a toxic way. Some trans women, not all, don't get me wrong, it's not all, but some trans women, if you pass, they don't like that and they can be mean about it and they can say cruel things and they can say you have privilege and they can throw it in your face, which is a very odd thing. It's not like sisters supporting sisters in some senses that I've seen. Not all. These are like real life examples, by the way. A lot of trans women do support each other, but it's just something unusual I've noticed. Maybe it comes from like jealousy if they're struggling to pass, because some people can't pass, and that is a thing in itself that I did speak about in the last video. Is the idea of passing toxic? No, but yes, a tiny bit. That's my analogy. I've been thinking about this a lot. I've been really thinking about it. I've been watching other people talk about it, other trans people, and a lot of them that I've seen online have said that they think passing is toxic. I understand where they're coming from. I understand the debate because it means that you're setting yourself up sometimes to fail. And it means that when you are knocked down and you are clocked for being trans, that can be really brutal. I understand all that, but I still feel like for the validation of gender affirming things, being called she, her naturally from a stranger who doesn't know you, that to me is so like when my loved ones call it me great, but they know to use that now. Whereas like when a shopkeeper says, thanks ma'am, it, to me, well, Mum's maybe perhaps a little bit older, but I still don't mind it. But to me, it's so affirming. Maybe I hate to admit that, and maybe that is a bit toxic from me. I don't know. Let me know what you think below. That's why I transitioned for my inside self that I'd been locked away to show on the outside. That's what I wanted all along. I do think the toxic part of passing can come from when there's too much emphasis on it and someone's whole life becomes about it and they get every surgery. And let me start that again because I don't want to offend anyone. What I mean by that is when someone is purely doing things for their transition to only pass. They don't care how they really feel. Like I almost this is my example. I'll always refer to my own personal examples because I think that's the easiest. I almost got a BBL this close to booking it and I backed out. And I realised that I was only getting it to try and pass more and be like other trans content creators, and that's not what I wanted to do. I don't mind my body. My body's not the most feminine, but it's also not the most masculine. It's just my body. Like, it has flaws like everyone's bodies do, and I was doing it for the wrong reasons. That's where a little bit of the toxic part, I think, can come into play, which came into play with me. I also think that within the trans community itself, passing can be quite a toxic subject, and when it's brought up, or it can be used to slander each other, and it can be used as insults, which is just wild to me. And I think that's where the toxic nature of it can come in. But I think as a whole, no. I think it's just keeping an eye on it and it not letting it get carried away with itself like it almost did with me. Nothing wrong with BBLs, by the way. I was just doing it for the wrong reason. Like, completely the wrong reason. I wasn't doing it because I had severe dysphoria or that I needed it or that my body was making me clock. It was just the wrong situation, the wrong reasons, and I think that's what it comes down to. Final thoughts on passing and what I'm doing to help me pass personally for my transition. I've spoken about getting I've spoken about getting facial feminization surgery before, so I'm getting my face done in March 2025, so a couple of months away, and I'm very excited for it. The main reason for that isn't necessarily to pass. The main reason for that is to ease my gender dysphoria, but a positive thing from that is that it hopefully will help me pass without makeup and stuff like that. These little steps like taking hormones and hair and makeup and clothes and how you act and how you speak and surgeries, it all sort of adds up together to make transition for me personally. I think passing will always be a part of that. It's never going to go away. We live in a binary world, and that's not going to change because you have male, female gender. It's very strong. You also have things in between, but they're very obvious, popular, I don't say popular genders, but very common genders. So we're always going to live in that world. So to be a biological male like myself and to transition, there's always going to be that want and need to pass from trans people. It's something that we can't erase just with some ideologies and some fancy words and pretending that it's not there, because I think for a lot of trans people it is important, and I think that's both good and bad. I feel like I'm giving a very political answer here, but for me personally it is important. It is important, and it's validating, and it makes life a little bit easier, which maybe is that passing privilege that people say I've got. Sorry, I went like all around the houses and the U-bends and the roundabouts to get to what I'm trying to say now, but passing is so unique to each individual trans person. I don't think we should go after people if they don't pass. Absolutely not. I think if someone's making the effort to transition, then that's amazing, and if that's what they want and they need. Not everyone wants to as well, and that's their own decision. I'm not going to sit here and tell people you have to try and pass, you have to do this, because who am I to make that judgment call? Anyway, I think we've covered it all. This is part 2 of the video on passing. Is passing toxic? Mainly no, but a little bit yes. Let me know your comments below if you agree with anything I say, or even cooler, if you disagree. Do you disagree with anything I said? I'm always interested and open to learning. As human beings, we should always be learning, and I'm always trying to learn a bit more. Anyway, if you enjoy this kind of content, please do like and subscribe and hit that notification bell. I post weekly videos of stuff like this and reaction videos and talking about my life, and then me and Lee and my partner also have a podcast as well. Check out my other socials, TikTok and Instagram, which will be linked in the description box. I post way more of my everyday life on there. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye! Goodbye!